This episode of Divine Providence, the podcast, is brought to you by Cactus AI, the best essay helper for students.
A frenzy in Friartown.
Nice crossover, quick release.
Oh, baby, and the foul. Woo. Offensive rebound for Watson.
32 seconds. Shot clock differential about 14 seconds. 3-point lead.
Run shit like me, top 5 basically. I still play for keeps, ain't no fantasy. Hey.
Ladies, gentlemen, and ladies, of course, welcome to Divine Providence. I am Mac. Alongside me is the man, the myth, the Leb, as well as Dr. Sergeant Eduardo himself. You know him as Q's Friars. Episode 13. 13 is my unlucky number, so I hope that's not any foreshadowing. But outside of Friars basketball, gentlemen, we had some off-the-court happenings in the PCBC world. The one and only Dangly Sack was name-dropped by probably a quarter of the New York Knicks roster. Lev, what was your initial reaction to seeing that?
See, I thought when you first started talking about that, I thought you were talking about the illness that I'm battling, which is, a cold. And I'm being very brave right now, as most people know. So shout out to me. Special thanks to me. Please praise me. But Dangly got a huge shout out from Tyler Kolek on, what was it? That's Brunson and Josh Hart, right? That's their show.
Yeah, the basically the Nova Knicks.
Right. Not as good as our show. Obviously, we're obviously bigger celebrities as well, but definitely really cool for Dangly. So really happy for him. Do we have the clip? You want to play the clip there?
Yeah. So for context, here's the video.
Providence. Shout out Dangly Sack. I know you're gonna be listening to this, all the Providence fans. That was his Twitter name.
Dangly Sack.
Dangly Sack.
Jeez.
He
First of all, hearing Jalen Brunson utter the words Dangly Sack was something I was not expecting this early into 2025, but here we are. This might be Dangly's one shining moment right here.
Yeah, I mean, he's had some good moments. I mean, he's
for sure.
He's definitely one of the funnier accounts. Gets a lot of banger tweets. He plays the field pretty well. So yeah, no, really just anytime you see a colleague, so to speak, almost, right? This is kind of how it feels.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's a great feeling, and it's good to get recognized on the national stage once again. This is a group that gets recognized nationally quite often. Now the basketball team needs to get positive national recognition. And, that's hopefully next.
I feel like, weirdly enough, I feel like Dangly's notable viral tweets kind of go hand in hand with the Friars' success, because the Tyler Kolek illiterate game, Friars take down a top 10 team. And then Phantom Windmill, that was, I think, right around, he was the one that started Phantom Windmill, right?
I don't know who he had a big part in that. I do know that. I don't know who started that. I don't want to misspeak, because then people get upset and it's all this whole thing. So I don't know. I know he had a big part in that though.
Yeah, I mean he's got the whole viral tweet thing locked down. It's an art.
So Mac, are you trying to tell us that we should take the money line Friday?
I don't want to say anything good about the Friars because they immediately proved me wrong. I'm not a financial advisor, but yeah, I would hammer the Friars.
This is financial advice. Take the Friars. This is official financial advice. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, sue me. What are you going to do? You going to sue me?
Got to buy low, sell high, fellas.
Buy the dip.
Take the Friars.
I'm still buying the crypto crease dip.
Yeah, you're gonna be holding on to that one for a while.
Yeah, I'm having
Creased, Creased is an interesting cat. He did get some minutes against Creighton. Not very memorable minutes, but he did at least see the floor. So good to see that he's healthy again.
I think coming out of Tuesday night, a big topic of conversation was surrounded around our bigs. Oswin, he's starting to come along, but his conditioning was an issue. And then, when he's off the court, we're kind of struggling to find a sufficient backup center, basically. What are your thoughts on the, I guess, second string five so far?
I mean, I'd love for it to be Rafael Castro. That'd be sick. But he is not here. Yeah, it's an interesting dilemma because on one hand they have Anton Bonk, who has never barely played basketball. Then you have Eli, who gives you some good minutes, and actually he looked okay offensively against Kalkbrenner though. I don't really know if there's anything Eli could do. And then obviously you have Creased, who I think is the most capable of all those options, but just looks like he just isn't really engaged when he's out there. So, I don't know. He's not conditioned. He's not engaged. So it's hard for me to say. I don't think there really is a solution, unfortunately. I think the solution is Oswin needs to play more, needs to condition himself up so he can play 30 minutes a game.
Yeah, I think all three guys you listed, Eli, Bonk, Creased, they're all works in progress. I think our oldest center is 19 years old. So, for better or for worse, feels like a long-term play. And in order to compete, I think the rest of the way, one of them's kind of got to establish a role, especially if the conditioning of Oswin is as bad as people are making it out to be. Or, God forbid he's in foul trouble late in a game. Personally, I'd like to see more Eli minutes because I think Bonk and Creased have gotten enough opportunities and haven't really shown, the at least amount of competence we'd like to see. So I'd like to see some Eli minutes. Hustle guy. He's obviously smaller, but Eli Delorier, show me what you're working with. Kim, show me some Eli minutes. Eduardo, you've been big talking about the conditioning and rebounding. So I want to get your thoughts on this, the hierarchy of bigs and how you see it.
Well, first off, having a rotation that's not consistent this stretch of the season is a really bad problem to have. I know Cooley's team, hate to bring him up, always had a consistent rotation. You found it during the middle of the season and ended up sticking with it. Tuesday, we had, 11, 12 guys play. It seems like Kim's just trying to find the best five and sticking with it. But I think if Oswin can get his conditioning up, he could play 30 minutes a game. He gets better every game he plays, and that's very promising. I like Eli as the second big. He provides a stretch five type role for this team, which this team needs for Kim's system, which is dribble, drive, kick, or if you have the open shot in the paint, take it. But other than that, really, really rough time to have rotation issues this late into the season.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's I just think there's too many cooks in the kitchen. Leb, you were going to say something?
Well, I was going to say it seems like this is more just of the domino effect, and not to sound like a broken record, but a lot of these things are glaring because Bryce is not playing. If Bryce was playing and he was out there, then he could slide into that backup five position a little bit, take the load off of Creased, Eli, Anton. So it's more of all right, 25 minutes of Oswin, you get 10 minutes of Bryce at the five, and then you go 5 minutes of one of those guys. So they're only out there for like 5 minutes at the 5. So it's just more of the domino effect, Bryce not being there is once again, kind of the reason why things are not how we want them to be.
Yeah, and you kind of got to take it with a grain of salt. Like, obviously, this team, you could see it when Bryce was playing, and this team was built to play around Bryce, and kind of just coming up with an identity on the fly is a little tough. They did it a little bit against Seton Hall, but I almost like the no big lineup, just small ball. Whoever, whatever the toughest wing is you have in the game will be assigned to their big. Like, if Bonk is a net negative, Creased looks lost at times. If you're not going to give me Eli minutes, I'm totally okay with a small ball lineup for however long Osmond's out of the game.
Yeah. I mean, going small is, I think, going to help you on offense. It may help you on defense depending on who you're going up against. Like, I mean, when you're going up against Kalkbrenner, I don't know. I mean, the game that Kalkbrenner had, we were leaving him open for, at the 3-point line, straightaway threes, and he was draining them. So going small, getting a hand in his face might have been a good option. But then he'll just go in the low post and he'll, Eli is no match for Kalkbrenner. Same thing, if you went even smaller. So it's tough. There's just no solution. And Creighton is a really bad matchup for this team. That's a terrible, terrible matchup.
I agree. And I think, first of all, that game, I feel like we got to talk about the role players and how it's just a random role player on a certain team going off every night against us. Like, I feel like they almost overcommit to a team's best player, and Isaac Trout can light you up for 20 and forget how to miss a shot. Like, you had guys down the board just cashing threes. And that's usually a Doug McDermott team. You have guys that can hit threes, but Isaac Trout looked like a 40-year-old investment banker, and he had no business, not even being able to find the rim.
Yeah. Speaking of 40-year-old investment bankers, Stephen Ashworth almost is that, and he also cooked us. And, obviously you have fucking Mason Miller, who hit 2 threes all year, and he had, 3 against us? So it's just, overall, it just was not our night. And the game was within reach. Like, it never felt super out of reach until the very end. So, the final score was a little misleading. Like, going into the half, it was a 6-point game, and they hit a prayer 3 at the buzzer, like a well-guarded, in-your-face. I think it was I don't remember who
I think it was Neil.
Neil, yes, correct. And well-guarded. I think Wes was guarding him, and it just drained it. And that was 6-9, right? So it goes from 6-9. Difference from a 2-possession game to a 3-possession game. That's just the feel is obviously so different. So it could have been a 6-point game going into the locker room. It's a 9-point game, not a huge difference. And then, you just can never get your feet underneath you. And the second you do, like with Oswin, because Oswin was having a really good offensive performance, and then he has to come out because he's just not conditioned well. And there's a lot of reasons for that. I don't know. I've heard that he missed the summer, like they do the grueling workouts in the summer. He missed a little bit of that because of AAU basketball. So I've heard that. But there's no reason really why an 18-year-old should be that gassed after playing, 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's hard to explain. And it's not like he's like a Sondako where he's carrying a ton of weight. Like, he's a slim guy. Like, that's not even a crack a joke. Usually you see the heavier set guys.
I know. I wasn't you. I was laughing. It was just fun.
There's definitely a joke to be made there, but that was not my intent. But I think Oswin did a really good job in his limited time, I guess. He held his own against Kalkbrenner. Is it Kalkbrenner or Kalkbrenner? Either or.
Yeah, I think it's Kalk.
All right. But he had a couple good post moves. Like for a guy that hasn't really been known for his offense all year, like looked competent against a 7-3 brick shithouse who's 45 years old and is known for blocking shots. So and then Friday you're going up against Eric Dixon. So I feel like this stretch or this week or so is going to be like the biggest week stretch of Oswin's young career. And I feel like we're learning more about him every game. I feel like every episode we're coming on and saying he's getting better.
He is. I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but this thought genuinely goes through my head all the time is, Oswin and Mila for the next 3.5 years, they each get better after every single game. And it's definitely exciting. Plus with the recruiting class coming in, there's a lot to be excited about. So it is unfortunate though that this season does feel like it's kind of a wash, and that each game is a little bit of a microcosm of the season. So a lot of losses, like there's bright spots, don't get me wrong, but it just doesn't seem like they can ever really get traction. Like that game was definitely like a little bit of a microcosm of how this year is going. Could never really get traction. Ended up really not being all that close in the end. But there were some good moments, and you don't leave like feeling terrible like some of the other games where you just leave so angry, like St. Bonaventure, right, where they just look lost. I think that you played a good team on the road that you match up terribly against, and the outcome was what pretty much you could have expected. I think that's pretty much it.
You mentioned how it was kind of a microcosm of the season itself. Unfortunately, I think it was a prime example of us being on the wrong side of the Providence Friars offense. Like we've talked about how this team lives and dies by the three, and it was like that. Like if you want to show a team dying by the three, I think you got to point to Tuesday's game. Like I think was it Jaden Pierre and Bensley shot a combined 1 for 12 or 2 for 12 from three. Like if your best shooters aren't hitting shots, you're dead in the water regardless. And last few games we've seen the Friars hit shots, and I'm starting to think, like, oh shit, this offense is actually starting to look good. But it looked great when it's working. It looks terrible when it doesn't. And unfortunately, it looked terrible on Tuesday.
Right. And I think that's kind of what is preventing like Ben's from being like that, Al Durham type, where like when the Friars needed Al Durham, when you needed a bucket, like he was there. When you needed him to step up and have a good game, he would have a good game. Ed Cooley called him a closer, right? But Bensley sometimes will disappear. So like they desperately needed Bensley to have a great game to follow up his great game against Seton Hall, with another great game against Creighton. And he had a great game against Seton Hall, but a terrible performance against, Creighton. Same thing with Jaden Pierre. I mean, Jaden is obviously kind of a more streaky player, but yeah, you just can't win if your main scoring guards give you nothing.
My one gripe against Jaden Pierre from Tuesday night was not even a gripe. It was really like I was disappointed. Was these little floaters off the glass? He kept putting over Kalkbrenner. Fuck, I gotta lock in Kalkbrenner. Been saying Kalkbrenner for years. These little floaters he had over Kalkbrenner, trying to kiss it off the glass, and he was just rimming out every time. But those are shots I've seen him hit over Kalkbrenner a million times. Like Big East tournament last year, that was his money shot. So to see those clank out almost every time down the court, it felt like was definitely disappointing. But It's just a matter of the shots not falling.
Yeah, you're right. And that's part of the reason why I think that this last year, I mean, we went 2-1 against Creighton last year. We lost to them on the road, I think, but beat them twice. So, yeah, I mean, like last year, Odoro was a very physical player, and he would play over 30 minutes a game. I mean, 32 minutes a game, I think, was what he was averaging. And obviously, he had Devin Carter, completely different story. But like I said, this team just matches up pretty poorly against Creighton. So, yeah, I mean, you take it on the chin, you move on. Ultimately, there is a game Friday against Villanova. It's another winnable game, Eric Dixon is going to be a problem. Any ideas on who would guard Eric Dixon?
Hopefully, Oswin, takes a pill that lets him run for 40 straight minutes, and he'll just be assigned to Eric Dixon for the entire game. But I just don't see that happening.
I think he's kind of a little bit of a matchup nightmare for us,
For sure. He's one of the best 3-point shooters in the country, like regardless of position right now. So I mean, that's just dangerous. I don't remember him being that great of a shooter. Like, obviously, like a sufficient shooter for a big man, but not lights out from three. So it's gonna be tough. I mean, if you can take Oswin out of the paint, that's gonna make all the difference in the world.
Yeah, no, I agree. Eduardo, what do you think about trying to guard Eric Dixon? I mean, 6'8", 250, right? Averages 23 points per game. Any answers for Dixon?
I think you got to put Mela, Cardette, show like the house towards him, because it's like a Cam Jones type situation we saw a couple weeks ago. There's not a lot of players that can guard Dixon, so just like showing everything you got, try to at least contain him, because you're not gonna stop him. You can try to contain him, but just try to do the best you can. Let other players beat you. That's the big thing you got to do. But I would try to put Mela on. I don't think Oswin. Plus, I think they do two big lineups. I could be wrong about that, but I think they play two bigs a good amount of the time. So I think Oswin wouldn't be on him.
Yeah, Oswin's big enough, but I think he'll get just worn down guarding Dixon. I do like the idea of Mila. Cardette, not a terrible idea. I think athleticism-wise, he's probably the most athletic player on the team, and Eric Dixon is just an athletic freak. So, yeah, I mean, it's tough. I don't know exactly how you'll contain him, because he shoots the ball really well, but he also, is massive. So it'll be interesting. But the good news is, if you can find a way to lock up Eric Dixon, it's a very winnable game. Villanova is, decent besides Eric Dixon. I mean, they got, Poplar, a couple other good guys, but ultimately it's a team that's been up and down, much like PC, obviously much better than PC, but very winnable game Friday night in Philadelphia. Maybe we'll even have some PC fans in the crowd, to make the pilgrimage to Philly.
Yeah, I mean, the fans travel well. I think if this team can contain Dixon, one guy I don't know why I genuinely like watching him play is Brickus. Brickus could be a problem, and I think it could just genuinely be a fun game to watch if you just have both teams' guards going back and forth. Could see a vintage Jaden Pierre game. The one thing that gives me optimism, but it also makes me a little worried, is I feel like Sean Miller gave us some decent tape on how to beat Villanova just the other night. But on the other hand, Villanova's coming home off of a loss, and I just feel like teams bounce back well when they come back home. So I don't know. You flip a coin, I'm kind of on the fence right now.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's fair. Xavier's crowd is really intense, really good. That obviously it played a part in the win. Xavier's not all that good, but a home game, anyone can win in that building, just like us, just like the dunk. Anyone can win the dunk. So, again, I mean, Villanova's beatable, even if they were better than what they are. I still think with Neptune coaching, I think you can maybe get lucky, steal one. They're going to steal one. The Friars are going to steal one on the road somewhere. They almost did it at UConn, right? Creighton was a really tough matchup, but they match up better with Villanova, I feel, and they're going to steal one. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be Villanova or could be St. John's on February 1st, but it'll happen somewhere along the way. So hopefully it's Friday night because they could use a win for sure.
Mm-hmm. And I know you said earlier, like this season's a wash, and again, maybe this is just me being naive, but I'm still high on this team. Like Tuesday night kind of feels like almost an outlier as far as the last few games that we've seen from this Friars team. Leb, like you mentioned, took UConn down to the wire, beat the brakes off Butler, beat Seton Hall at home for whatever that's worth. I was looking at Bart Torvik earlier this week before the Creighton game. There was a point, before the Creighton game where PC had a top 10 offense since the turn of the calendar. I think they had the seventh best offense in the country over the 3 games before they had played. That number's drastically changed since the Creighton game, but this Creighton game could just be an outlier. And, I still believe this team is on their way to finding their identity. It may be too little too late, but
yeah,
I think this game's going to tell a lot about the trajectory going forward.
For sure. I mean, just because you turned the corner, which I think that there's an argument to be made that they have turned the corner, doesn't mean that you're not going to lose some games. It doesn't even mean that you might not even get your doors blown off every now and then. That's going to happen. That's pretty normal, especially in this league. So they might have still turned the corner, and something still may have changed with, Mila kind of coming out of nowhere, with Osmond playing well, Cardette kind of blossoming into more of a defined role. Corey Floyd also kind of, blossoming a little more of a defined role finally. The rotation shrinking down a little bit, where you're not flooding the floor with a lot of guys that don't belong there, So there are a lot of things to be positive about. So they could have turned the corner and just had a one-off night. So, but we'll know against Villanova. If they play Villanova tight, then I think they've turned the corner. If it's a blowout again, then yeah, we took 2 steps back. So
Play Providence. Shout out Dangly Sack. I know you're gonna be listening to this, all the Providence fans. That was his Twitter name.
Technical difficulties.
No, I hit play. I just want.
Oh, okay. Where were we?
No, I was just talking about turning the corner.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if the Friars win Friday, don't let this team win 3 out of 4 heading back to the dunk for Cooley's homecoming. That's all I'm going to say, because this fan base will be on fire. No pun intended. I didn't even mean that. I just thought of the reference.
Yeah. No, yeah, we're I mean, definitely. It's going to be crazy either way. I mean, yeah, if they win against Villanova, it'll be pretty crazy going to the Georgetown at home. So it's Villanova, and then who is there one more game before Georgetown?
I think we have the midweek game. We have that one off. So the other 10 teams are playing during the week.
Huh.
So the next game after Friday will be Saturday the 25th.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I agree. I mean, if they beat Villanova, it'll be huge going into the game. Just huge. So it's a winnable game. You know, we'll see what
For sure.
happens. Hope for the best.
Yeah. Leb, by the way, forgot to mention it in the intro, but shout out to you powering through with the flu.
Thank you.
Just flu game masterclass by Leb himself.
Yeah. A lot of people can't do it. You know, a lot of people can't do it, but that's why I'm just different, you know, so.
Jordan-like performance right here.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. It really is.
That was his Twitter name.
Dangly sack.
Dangly.
The Friars are actually 0-1 since you've been sick, so I would take as much, any sort of nasal spray, Dayquil, vitamin C, whatever you need. You got just pump that shit into your veins before Friday.
Yeah, you know, you're right. That's a good point. And I mean to be ill, right, with a fever, you know, high fever, and then to get up for an 8:30 game is tough. It's not easy, you know. So I was there on my couch, just cheering the Friars on. Didn't miss a beat. You know, I did pack it in with 2 minutes left though, because game was over. So I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna pack it in. Had a good performance, so I hit the showers. But yeah, no, you know, I appreciate the praise. It's well deserved.
Patriotic performance.
Yeah.
You guys have anything else?
I mean, I'm pretty good. What about you, Eduardo? You got any final closing thoughts?
The game's at Wells Fargo tomorrow, right?
I believe
Yeah,
so.
the big one. Big one. Yeah. I think we're at the Wells Fargo. We're also at MSG on the 1st for the St. John's game. So that's pretty cool.
Big
Yeah, we have a little bit of advantage being at Wells Fargo rather than the Pavilion.
Yeah. I want to say that PC's record on the road in on-campus arenas in the Big East, it might be 0-150. Like, I can't verify that stat, but I feel like that's right, because I feel like we never win in the on-campus arenas, but in the NBA arenas, we battle.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point. So we have Georgetown plays at Capital One, DePaul's at Wintrust, Seton Hall's at, was it Prudential Center?
Prudential.
Yeah. But they also play games at the other one too. They play games on campus sometimes.
Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to think of the on-campus. You have Carnesecca.
Yeah, St. John's has both. I feel like we always lose at Carnesecca, but we win at MSG. Gamble in the XL Center. Like,
your favorite in the Big East, huh?
Yeah, that's my favorite team. And then you have, who else has both? That might be it.
Georgetown played in a high school gym earlier this year.
Yeah. They play in front of a high school crowd every night. And they finally get a good crowd against the back-to-back national champions, and they're doing fucking victory laps.
Is Hinkle on Butler's campus?
Yeah, I think Hinkle's on the campus, yeah. Actually, I don't really know. I could be making that up.
Got to ask Yuli about that one. He'll know.
Yule Dog,
friend of the show. Yeah. Yeah.
Shout out Dangly Sack. I know you're gonna be listening to this, all the Providence fans. That was his Twitter name.
Dangly Sack.
Dangly Sack.
Jeez.
He
common occurrence on this week's episode.
I love that soundbite.
I might make it my ringtone.
Yeah, that's ringtone quality.
Mm-hmm.
If you're dangling at all, like, dude, how do you not want to just dox yourself? Like, how do you not want to go to like all your friends? Like, I mean, I'm sure a lot of his friends know, you know, like if they're like his true boys, like they know, you know, he has a burner or whatever. But like, I don't know, like even like coworkers, dude. Like I'd be like, yo, this is Tyler Kolek plays for the Knicks. Yeah, he's talking about me. Like that's sick, dude. That's fucking sick.
Yeah. Jalen Brunson, ever heard of him?
Yeah, it's so sick.
Insane.
But
yeah. So do you guys got anything else before we get out of here?
I think that's good. Nice quick one. We'll have something special planned next week for the Georgetown game. So we'll see how that goes, and we'll go from there.
Biggest episode yet next week. 1 year anniversary of Divine Providence.
Yep.
The namesake of this show.
Really fired up. Going to be special.
I think we do a Cooley spot. We do the Cooley funeral. We all show up in suits and ties, pay our respects, and just dance on his grave.
We'll be doing a lot of dancing. Hopefully, we get a W too. Hey, beat Villanova on Friday. We got a big game against Villanova, and maybe we'll some Friar fans will be there. That'd be awesome. Make the trip, and then we got Georgetown coming next week. So it'll be a fun 10 days or so. So
the vibes will be high. If actually, all right. So I have Monday off. If the Friars win Friday, I say we record Sunday night and get pissed drunk and record.
All right, I'm in. I don't get pissed drunk anymore. I can get like moderately drunk, but I can definitely do that.
You're a historian.
Yeah, I'll be the historian. Pissed drunk, like that's like piss. Like I pissed my pants drunk. To the surprise of probably absolutely no one. But I can't do that anymore. So those days are gone. Especially battling flu-like symptoms. The back end of a flu. The back nine of a flu. It's just it's just not going to happen. But yeah, definitely, I'm down to get moderately drunk.
Just shit on Cooley. Might say some cancelable stuff, and actually, they've tried to cancel you before. Anyway, so
can't cancel us. Yeah. Can't cancel us. Not cancelable. Not cancelable. You have to care to be canceled. I've made that very clear. I just do not care. So you can try to cancel me all you want. Can't cancel me for having the flu.
True.
Play Providence. Right. Shout out Dangly Sack. I know you're gonna be listening to this. All the Providence fans. That was his Twitter name.
Dangly Sack.
Dangly Sack.
Jeez.
He.
It gets funny every time you hear Dangly Sack. Jeez.
I'm gonna make that my voicemail. Yeah. Thank you for calling Mac, and then just that'll play, and you hear the tone to leave a message.
Dangly Mac.
Dangly. That's got a ring to it. I'm gonna make a burner. It's gonna be a burner to Dangly's burner, and it's gonna be Dangly Mac. That's perfect. Good shit. All right, I think that's a good note to end on. If you guys don't have anything else, we'll get out of here. Friars play Friday against Villanova, and then
7 o'clock. 7 o'clock. Yep, 7 o'clock.
And then we'll be back for the homecoming special next week.
Yep. Sounds good. All right.
All right.
We'll see
Thanks, everyone, for listening. Go Friars.
Go Friars.